they disappeared. We don't see them. Saizi scandal imewapata. 24 of them walivote bill sijui ya nini, I don't know what it was, to allow state officials to do what business with government. I've not read it, so I don't want to comment so much on it. I was waiting for Nairobi Super Senator to be here, sijamuona. Niko na hizi messages mingi, na hii ni symptom ya shida tuko nazo kama country. Kuna mwingine ameniambia hapa, boma yao ilivunjwa huko Mavoko. Serikali ilivunja boma yao. Sijui iko wapi. Alafu kuna hii issue ya JSS. Hiyo ni kitu inaniuma sana as a Kenyan. Because kama tuna promote CBC, na the crux of CBC, as in the core of CBC ni hiyo JSS. Kwa nini serikali siweke tu pesa enough i-employ JSS wa kutosha? Unaenda primary school hapa unapata watoto 300 na walimu 3. Na hiyo shule hata ina resources. Laboratory wanaenda kwa neighboring school, high school. Basketball wanaenda kucheza kwa neighboring school. Wamandiki wapo swimming hawana, lazima waende kwa mtoni. Wanakuruka kwa mtoni huko kwa village. Walimu wanawafuata na kitabu. Ule anaruka sana anaandika. Ule anaruka vibaya anaangusha. Anaruka kwa mtoni. So ukiruka kwa mtoni au mwena nyoka, what will you say? Why are we doing this to our citizens? Watu wanalipa kodi, tunalipa kodi. Usipolipa kodi imelipwa juzi unakujiwa. People are doing business. Sasa inabidi ufute watu. When I started my clinic last year, I had 8 employees. Sasa niko na 4. Just 4. Hao wengine niliwaambia sana, mimi mtakaa hapa nitashinda kuwalipa. Mtasema mimi ni toxic employer. So nyinyi afadhali muende mjue tu hatuna kazi. Kuliko mkaenge hapa mna expect niwalipe tarehe 1 na mimi napata pesa tarehe 25. Hakuna vile nitawasaidia. Hata wanaona vile biashara ziko wanasema yenyewe it is true. Daktari Mbiti ako hapa. Ako na hospitali. Ameifunga. Na amepump hapo I think 18 million shillings. Ijamaliza hata 1 year. Ameifunga. Juu ameshindwa kulipa rent. So inabidi sasa hata huyo landlord amerealize, huyu za kitoka hapa nitapata nani? So imebidi aite Mbiti wakae chini wasikizane vile atalipa rent. Because environment ya biashara iko chini. Manufacturing sector imekufa. Agriculture. Mimi wana watu hapa wakisema ati tourism ndio number 1, I don't know, tourist. Hatutaki tourists. Wanatusaidia na nini? Tumekuwa na tourists kuanzia miaka zote. Tumeua our tourist destination, tumegrab land, tumeharibu. Why can't we focus on something like agriculture? Kwa sababu agriculture kwa Waafrika hiyo ndio the basis ya economy. Ukiangalia economy za Africa zina grow because of agriculture. Lakini agriculture na tumewacha, tumepatia kina Bill Gates ndio wana run. Nimewaambia hapa 20 years ago, 30 years ago, Kenya ilikuwa the leading exporter of pyrethrum. Cotton industry ilikuwa sawa. Mimi nimesoma na miwa. My father was a farmer. As much as I tell people don't take sugar, but mimi nilisomea na miwa. Umeshindwa kulipa fees, mzazi anaenda Mosako, Mumia South Growers Sako. Anapeleka contract ya miwa, anasema niko na hii shamba eka 2 na hii miwa yangu itakatwa in 6 months. Tafadhali munipatie shilingi 15,000 nipeleke mtoto wangu shule, alafu mkikuja kukata miwa, saa ya kulipa mkate hiyo 15,000. So Mosako inakupatia pesa. Mtoto anaenda shule. Walio wengi wamesoma na miwa. Saizi hakuna. Kampuni ilianguka. Ukiangalia the microeconomy of Luyaland imeisha. Yeye tuko na politicians. Na ule mtu anaweza kufanya, tunaanza kumuita ni mwendazimu. Salasia. Salasia is trying. Anajaribu. Hizo madrama zake kando, lakini anajaribu. Because pia ni mtu amegrow na miwa. Hizi nzo ya sugar hii ya Bungoma ndio ina collapse. Kulikuwa na tobacco industry huko sehemu za Busia huko, Malaba, ilikufa. Sasa kama agriculture inakufa, tutabaki na nini? Tutaenda wapi? Coffee farming. Sasa ukienda Kiambu wanatoa coffee waneka apartments. So unajiuliza hii apartment concrete jungle itatufikisha wapi sisi? What is our future as a country? Zile vitu zenye nafaa tuongelee, zenye zinatuhusu as a country, atuongelei. Tunaongea kuexport sijui nini, tumetengeneza sijui 5000 jobs kwa ICT wapi. Get zile basics. Unajua tukikosa zile basics, hata hizo za juu hatuwezi. Nani ako na mic aongee? Gola. Natafuta lawyer Pikiponki Simoni. Willis, please nitumie your request. Nikupatie mic uongee hizo stories za legislation. Willis alikuwa anasema hivi that in the future tuko na legislation yenye president is not part of parliament. Yeye hayuko kwa any political party. Iko kama Singapore. President ni mtu independent. Hayuko kwa political party yoyote. Hiyo itatusaidia. And then the parliamentary elections ikwe kando. Tuseme parliamentary elections zinakuwa kando. After 3 years, bunge anaenda 2 terms, 3 years, akimaliza anaenda. Saizi tuko na bunge, watu ni madinosaur huko. Mtu amekaa bunge 20 years. Ni nini ataleta ya maana ama mpya yenye itabadilisha Kenya? Hakuna. Mtu amekaa bunge 20 years, 25. Wabunge waende 2-3 years, ukifanya kazi poa urudi 3 years uende nyumbani. Upatie mwingine pia opportunity ya kurepresent your constituency kwa bunge. Si wewe peke yako unaweza represent. And then president atoke kwa party, asikwe part of this party politics. Hizi party politics ndio zinafanya saizi Rigiji na president hawasikizani because of party politics. So tutoe president asikwe kwa any party. Na akitaka kuongelesha wabunge hawaiti state house, anaenda kwa bunge. Anasema kitu anataka kusema, alafu wabunge wana debate, wanakubaliana kama amesema kitu poa, wanakubali. Kama amesema kitu mbaya, wanakataa. That's how we build our country. Lakini saa hii party politics imeharibu country yetu. Ndio maana tuko na hizi coalition of parties. Unapata party iko na members 3, iko kwa ruling party, kwa ruling coalition. Kuna party nyingine iko huko northeastern inaitwa UDM, hata mimi sijui. Watu wanasikia iko kwa ruling coalition. Unajua hii party ni kitu gani hii? Imefanya nini? So kitu itaendelea, utapata kila sasa ward itakuwa na party. Hii ward iko na party yake, ile ward iko na party, na zote zinaingia ruling coalition. Hizo ndo zinaharibu demokrasia ya Kenya. Kama nimekupatia mic ongea, we continue. I'm waiting for Willis atuongeleshe. Kama ametuleta, nilikuwa namuona Jimmy Wanjigi pia anataka kuongea, atuombe mambo ya public debt. Atuambie tuko wapi as a country. Because yeye ni kama anajua hizi stories zote. Atuambie sisi tuko na deni this much, lakini yenye tunalipa ni hii. So hii balance hii ni watu wanakula tu, watu wanaweka kwa mfuko. Please, kama uko na mic you can go on.
Kuna kitu umegusia Merix about being in business. I've been in business since 2020, a fashion house. Recently, KRA came and they summoned me to their office, telling me that I've not registered for e-teams, that I've not complied in paying taxes, and they told me to go with statements, personal bank statement, the till statement, and the records, Now I'm asking myself, the government has not created a favorable environment to do business in this country. What they're interested in is to get more money from these Kenyans who work their back and asses out to make that extra coin. Any place that they can get money, ndo natilia mkazo sana. So when you get someone like that, and if it's the first time, you start looking for a tax expert, which means you have to pay someone to do that. Putting in mind that you've not even paid the rent for that month, or maybe there are 2 months that were not paid. So I said, let me just go represent myself. I go explain myself. They slapped me with a fine of 200,000, you know. So when they gave me that fine, I now started giving them evidence that sijalipa rent, sijalipa wafanyikazi. Na ukifika pale unakuuliza maswali, unafanyikazi wangapi, unawalipa pesa ngapi, rent unalipa pesa ngapi? So they calculate the amount of money that they think or they purport that you're making, you know. And the environment is not favorable for business. So when I tabled evidence that I've not even paid rent for 2 months, they gave me a warning. And they gave me tax clearance, you know. So how many Kenyans know their rights? And how many Kenyans have been put into debt paying those fines that are very unscrupulous, you know? So ni serikali ambayo inajali yenyewe, you know. And what made the government speak in a good tone after being called criminals is when they saw that it's not conducive for them to do their own businesses. When they saw that now wananchi are going for them. When it was us, it was okay, we were criminals. When Kenyans started going for them, now sasa hapo ikabadilika, wakaona kwamba this is serious, let us now come down and talk to these people. Another institution that has failed us as a country is the church through faith diplomacy. You know, nikifikiria kitambo venye priests and pastors were being respected in the country, na sasa hivi iko tofauti sana yani. Church ilikuwa inaongea, kina Timothy Njoya wanaongea, wamepigwa marungu kwa sababu ya kufaitia ile democracy ambayo sasa hizi tuko nao tunaenjoy. Lakini kanisa sasa inanunuliwa na bahasha, alafu wanakisha kwamba wanaomba. I don't know if these are facts or just rumors, kwamba kuna mapasta, because very prominent journalists have written the 100 pastors that pray every day for this country, every day, praying for a country to be better. A country is not run by prayers. Even though prayer changes things, a country should be run through policies that are working, you know. If you look at manifestos of these politicians, they are very nice manifestos, but they're not being followed. They're not being implemented. Alafu unatuambia kwamba utatuombea inchi ikuwe vizuri. How? That's fucked up shit, you know. Like, these policies that are there, they need to be put into action, you know. They need to work on these policies. They need to make sure that they follow these manifestos. If they are followed to the latter, we're going to be in a good place. When you come to the sports industry, very incompetent minister. Showbiz kibao, left, right, and center. Fungua hii, fungua hii, fungua hii. Yet, ile joint hosting ambayo tumepewa ya kuhost AFCON, tunaweza ikosa kwa sababu hatuna viwanja. Inakuwaje tunakuwa host, tunaweza kupiga boli Zimbabwe? Serious. Such a country inakuwa na kiwanja. Sisi kama Kenya hatuna kiwanja. You know, how? Yet kuna pesa inatoka FIFA, kuna pesa inatoka kwa taxes za Wakenya, na hakuna kitu kinafanyika. You know? And inakuwa tu blame game. I'm challenging sports journalists in this country today, tonight. Speak up, you know. Speak up. Speak up and change the industry. Kwa sababu unasikiza mse wa bola anasema footballers have been turned into beggars. And it is so painful kwamba wanariadha wanaenda kule nje, they use their own effort, you know, wanatrain kivyao, then wakishinda ndo wanapokelewa na waziri hapa Kenya. Muziki hapa na pale ni nini, alafu inaishia pale. Yet hakuna facilities. If majuzi walikuwa wanalia kwamba wafunguliwe Nyayo, they do their practice. Ilikuwa imefungwa under renovation. Yet kukiwa na crusade inafunguliwa haraka inafanywa. Why? Why? These are questions that we need to be asking every day. Akija kiongozi katika stesheni, pigeni simu stesheni, ulizeni ya maswali. Akija kwa ground, ulizeni maswali. Why is this place not working? If you press and press and press, something will happen. Because right about now, something is happening. Because if a president can come to a space and listen to us, that should count for something. And let's continue pushing until that time that things will work in this country. Otherwise, if we keep quiet, if we keep mum, watazidi kutukalia, watutapikie, maka unajua kwamba watatununua tena ikifika mwaka 2027. So tufinye kabisa mpaka wakati ambapo tutaona kwamba industry na sekta zote zinafanya kazi. And don't say that your voice is small. You don't have to be a big wig on Twitter. You don't have to be someone who's known. Pale katika village yako, yule mbunge wako, yule MCA, yule governor, if they're not doing something right, speak up. Right now, we are heading in the right direction, and tukinyamazishwa hatatoboa. What happened during the last demos is what has been happening throughout independence. Kwa sababu unapata kwamba tumeamua kwamba tunampeleka Amerix aende atuongoze kama constituency ya Nyaribari Chache. Lakini kwa sababu kuna mtu pale anaitwa Mbaruk, ana pesa na labda ana wahuni fulani, the voices of those people that want change zinakandamizwa, alafu wale goons wanafanya wale wapiga kura wakae nyumbani wasipige piga kura, alafu yule mbaya anapita. It was evident juzi wakati Genz wametoka, goons wamekuja. Nani aliwaleta? We saw today wametoka concert pale Uhuru Park, wametembea Moi Avenue, wanaimba, wanaenda zao nyumbani. Hawana hooliganism yoyote, you know. So it is so painful to be a Kenyan at this time. It is so painful to talk about it, but we are heading the right direction. Thank you so much, Amerix, for this space. Naona sitaongea tena baada hapa. Nipokonye mic ili wakati wengine pia waongee, tusikie hizi ideas zikuje, then tujue how can we restructure, how can we regroup and tushinikize hii serikali itusikie, kwa sababu we are the people with the power. Without us they are nothing. So mbona sasa watu hata wameshindwa kusafiri, mikutano imekuwa postponed, it means the power is with us, you know. And tukifinya watakubali na wataanguka nayo. Thank you so much.
All right. Asante sana. I'm trying to add people here so that they can speak. Yes, Fatso, you can be a co-host. I've added Ombachi. I have added Kenya's #1 hater, Kaido. Accept and then come and talk to us. I see we have... right, thank you very much. Yes, Billy, I've given you a mic, you can talk. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you have a mic, you can go on. If you requested to speak, you know, the requests are many, I think 100 and something. So if you requested to speak and confirm if I've approved and start talking, so we don't waste time. Kaido?
Amerix, they look like the listeners from my side.
They look like the what?
The listeners, they're still listeners. Why don't you listeners? Hawajakuwa speaker kama Gaidho. Hata Umbachi.
Unaweza ninyang'anya speaker so that at least wakuwe na space ya kupata the mic. Okay. So you can drop me from the speakers list.
All right, let me do that. I've done that. I've removed you from the speaker. Remove. Billy, are you still there as the speaker?
Yeah, I'm still seeing myself as a speaker.
Okay. Just a minute as I invite, I remove these ones. Are you still a speaker? All right, Francis Gaido, I've sent right, Ochieno, Willis. I think it's now sorted.
Testing 1 2. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
Amerix, nice. Thanks for inviting me. Sorry, I'm late. Yeah, and I would want to carry on with your point about the collapsing industry. You were talking about the sugar belt. You were talking about all the companies and all the outgrower farms which were supporting small holder, farmers and whatnot. And being from Thika, I have the same kind of experience. So Thika was an industrial town. It used to be called the Birmingham of Kenya. So there were all these companies, especially in the textile industry. There was KTM, there was what, and so because of the structural adjustment programs, they came with some malicious or notorious or mischievous attachments or riders that you must liberalize, you must open your market for cheap imports, and that's how the Mutumba sector grew. And so we are here glorifying the Gekomba industry and whatnot. We are glorifying them because of importing second-hand clothes. But essentially, the only reason why new clothes or brand new clothes are expensive in Kenya is because of taxes, is because of the environment which has made it unconducive to produce. So it goes the entire chain. They dropped all the subsidies, all the incentives they used to give to farmers who used to grow cotton or who used to rear sheep for wool. And so they made domestic production expensive. And then we opened ourselves for cheap imports. A lot of companies now shut down because they could no longer sustain, no longer, not just on the production. So I've seen Thika move from being, that semi-urban, plush town into being just another, shithole town. Because of that, because of the parliament. Our problem begins and ends with parliaments when they talk about these structural adjustment programs. You look at when the World Bank and IMF started implementing that, they then created this committee. It was called a privatization committee. And then there was the Ndegwa family. You guys think so highly about the Ndegwa family because they own NIC and NCBA. But if you look, their father, who was once a central bank governor called Philip Ndegwa, was the chairman of that privatization commission or committee that was formed in conjunction with the World Bank and the IMF, so that we can be part of these structural adjustment programs, conditionalities for us to access loans so as to bridge the deficit that has been created by bad governance. So Philip Ndegwa becomes the chairman of the privatization commission. What does he first do? Anajichotea pesa zake. He first grabs a few companies. There was Nairobi Airport Services called NAS. There were many other companies which were grabbed during that period. But then you'll realize that the World Bank is hiding behind some of these government officials, and then they make it as if that, we are selling these parastatals to clear our debt. But no, it is them who are grabbing. So during that period is when we saw the privatization of companies like Kenya Power If you look at Kenya Power, since it was privatized, has our power bills, have they been cheaper or more? So the privatization was just a hoodwink. It was just a scam crafted for a few elites like Mamangina to grab our state-owned corporations. Look at Safaricom. During the same period, we had the Kenya Post and Telecommunications Corporation. Then, because of some mambo jumbo and magic over here, we were told it must be privatized. And so Safaricom was a department under the Kenya Post and Telecommunications Corporation. You understand? And that's where we have these clowns like Gideon Moi owning Mobitelea, 5% of Safaricom, given for free, under the guise that Vodafone is the one which is buying it. But Vodafone was giving 5% to Gideon Moi as a bribe because of acquiring Safaricom, which was a department of Kenya Post and Telecommunications Corporation. Look at something like Kenya Airways. We were told and we were fashioned. I remember I was reading the newspapers, I was very young, and they told us that privatization is a quick fix panacea, that because we are going to privatize, things are going to be better. Now, because the old generation of useless bastards, the boomers, if you're a boomer over here and you're there, you're a useless bastard, they bought into the idea of privatization. They bought into the idea of, let's get the golden handshake, and being stupid as they are, and even today they are still very stupid, they signed themselves up for a suicide. And so Kenya Airways, which was a fully state-owned corporation, has changed hands. It was sold first to KLM, and then there was this partnership between KLM, and then what they did is now, when they got to now the worst part, which was during the Uhuru era, they started selling our primest landing spots. For instance, Kenya Airways used to land in London at 6:10 a.m. There was a flight leaving Nairobi to London at 6:10. They sold that. They sold that to some, I don't know whether it's Bahrain or one of those companies or one of those countries. They sold that slot to bridge the deficit about debt that we don't know how it was incurred. We don't know how Kenya Airways got broke. We don't know how Kenya Airways got into debt, but somehow we have, because that is, your landing slot is almost like a sovereign parcel of land. You sell it, you concede it to another country to bridge problems that you yourselves have created. And so when we are talking about auditing debt, Jimmy Wanjigi is talking about odious debt. If we are talking about it, we are not just limiting ourselves to the debt. We are looking at the atrocities committed at the turn of the 80s to the 90s, where now that character, that clown called Philip Ndegwa, who was a central bank governor, who you guys are shamelessly praising today because they are rich, because you guys, your self-esteem has been suppressed. You are praising that clown, saying that they are rich, but they themselves stole, their wealth is accrued. I used to read articles that Philip Ndegwa is rich. He was the first Kenyan to bank 1 billion. How are you banking 1 fucking billion? You have no manufacturing company. You're not a farmer of repute. You're not an innovator or inventor. And then you bank 1 billion. Where did you get that fucking money? These are questions when, anytime we confront the ruling elite, we tell them, hey, can you tell us how you acquired this money? Because there was a time they used to flaunt their money. They used to flaunt these stories. Oh, I used to read those silly, nonsensical stories by somebody like Jenga Karume. Jenga Karume says, I used to sell charcoal. Who the fuck would believe that charcoal would make you a billionaire? Those are not, unless you're exporting that charcoal to Mars or to Jupiter as an alternative energy source. But we've been fed with lies. We've been fed with cock and bull stories pushed by the mainstream media, shameless journalists, shameless editors who have you just run with any rubbish. You don't want to question how this person acquired this wealth. They were in government. They used to do X, Y, and Z, and somehow they landed into a lot of money. And because there were no checks and balances, suddenly they are billionaires and they are being praised. They are being worshipped by the church. We have the corrupt clergy. I see people are calling them kilaji. But this is the historical injustices that we have, especially from the economic front. It has to be all the companies that were grabbed by people hiding behind the narrative of privatization. The people who hid behind the narrative of a golden handshake. People were told, hey, you take a golden handshake, you'll go home. And by the time those guys were taking a golden handshake and leaving, state-owned corporations, which were permanent and pensionable, they went to the villages and went to rot there to die. So this is, now we get to the sugar belt. Amerix was talking about it. He has grown up from there. His family has, I'm from the coffee sector. The coffee sector has supported me. Somehow it collapsed. And you are talking right now, you go to Kiambu Road right now, all the coffee is being chopped down, is being turned to real estate. Why? Because of structural deficiencies created by these fucking members of parliament, the guys we are entertaining, the guys you guys think are gods or something. They go and pass laws which are passed or which are crafted or which are conjured somewhere, and then they come and now start cooking narratives and telling you what. I was telling you about sugar. There was this clown called Ivan Skidero. Ivan Skidero, by the time he became the Mumia's sugar CEO, he is from the sugar belt, but the interests of the farmers were the last thing on his mind. He wanted, by the time he got there, he went to maneuver his way into getting import licenses so that they induce closures of the main sugar production, Sony, Mumias, and whatever, so that when they are shut down, they've been shut down under the guise of, oh, we have maintenance and whatnot. I think you used to see those whatever. Then they would import. Now, those sugar import licenses used to be approved by parliament, by idiots like who? Like Boni Kalawale, like this other idiot, what's his name? This Waluke. Those guys who pretend that they are members or they hail from the Western region were part and parcel of the destruction of the sugar industry. And I don't understand how you guys still worship them. How do you allow an idiot like Boni Kalawale to address you in a funeral or in a whatever? How? Because he has been part of the destruction of the sugar sector. The sugar sector in the coffee sector in Mount Kenya has been destroyed by none other than fucking MPs from Mount Kenya region. So our problem begins and ends in parliament, but parliament has been an extension of the executive. And so what you needed to do, you just needed to go to treasury. You meet the bureaucratic pieces of shit in the treasury. You tell them, oh, this is how much you're getting. Can you sneak this amendment into the finance bill? And so finance bills every year, and what you used to call the budgets, became an overhaul of our entire economic structure. So they used to go and, coincidentally, believe it or not, I used to be close with the PS of Treasury many years ago called Joseph Kenywa. And one day I met him at his house and I told him, can we do a proposal for football? So we wanted, because my background is football, and we wanted to launch our sporting renaissance on the model of Britain, so that the government kind of like co-guarants the building of infrastructure. And I gave him the proposal, and then he organized a meeting for me at Treasury, and I met the budget committee. And I remember going, and I was very young, it was around 2008. And I remember going there, I was just finding guys, it was like Muhindis and it was just foreigners who were there, who went to give their budget committee. But I spoke to them, and instead of doing my project the way I had presented it, because it would have created a lot of jobs for the young people and we wouldn't be having the problem today, what did they do? They passed a law using my proposal where every constituency got 1 million shillings for football. I'm seeing some MPs who are in office at the time, they will tell you they got 1 million shillings for every constituency for football. Just know that was my proposal that was implemented inversely, because we are dealing with a bunch of stupid idiots in parliament, bureaucratic pieces of shit. And when we are saying that we want to get rid of and we want to overhaul our economic structure, we have to start with Treasury, we have to start with Central Bank, we have to start with the Ministry of Energy and other places where World Bank and IMF have seconded their stooges, their surrogates, to implement policies that are going to fuck us up. That's where we are going to start. So I'm bitter because I can see our Kenyans. I saw Bonnie Kalawale with some young people, and he's the one who has been there with Akina Kidero and Akina Waluke. They were destroying the sugar subsector, and so we are dependent on importation. Like now, there was this Galana Kulalu, which has consumed a lot of money. They have only harvested, I don't know, only 100 bags since 2009. Where has that money been going to? These are glaring corruption undertakings by the people who you then now come to worship in church. They come and donate money. They come with words of cash. And you guys are just there worshiping them. You guys are there worshiping them because they are driving big cars. You have to understand that our oppression is intertwined with the current political establishment. So we need to overhaul everything. I saw some of you useless bastards. You have no shame, and you are saying Matiang'i. Matiang'i is the scandals. He's been there in the Roraka land scandal. He created this CBC, which has messed us up, and you are there without any honor or shame saying, yeah, Matiang'i, because you've been paid a few shillings. Come on, man. The same way we are dealing with Osama because of betrayal is the same way we are going to be dealing with you when you're making some psychotic and deluded proposals like Matiang'i for presidency. We are not moving behind. We are moving forward. This whole thing is one big charade. Our companies which had employed our people. And so I would see people, because you are used to your parents having money. You are used to your parents having money to pay your school fees, your hospital, and whatever. And then suddenly they've lost their jobs. You don't understand why they lost their jobs. But they used to work in they used to work in Mumias. They used to get a job. They used to work, and you used to also get healthcare attached to your parents. And somehow I would see people sinking into depression. And then what was the other solution that the boomers at the time came up with? Oh, let's immigrate. So all of them, let's go to America, let's go to Britain, let's go to where? But how long shall we run away from self-manufactured problems? Because you elect thugs, you elect idiots. These idiots then go and steal your money. You understand it's a chain, and you are part of it. You are an active participant. So the thing here is, we in our pursuit for progress, in our pursuit to overhaul this entire system, we are looking at Ruto. Ruto must fall. That is guaranteed, whether we like it or not. He is going to fall because we have decided as a people that he is not serving our interests. Anytime we have given an opportunity for him to speak in the media, to rise to the occasion, to tower above his parochial interests, he has gone on and to let us down. He's saying the dumbest shit. He's asked, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? He doesn't do anything. He says the worst thing. He has no sense of occasion. So we have agreed that he must go, whether it's 2027 or before, I don't know. It's the people to decide. But in the meantime, just look at the historical patterns from when World Bank started implementing the structural adjustment programs in the 1990s. The people who grabbed our companies. So when we are talking about audit, and I saw some audit committee made, it's just a mockery. These guys are insulting our collective intelligence. That those guys, they've put the most irrelevant of guys, they put the most useless of guys, because any committee that is talking about an audit without Okia Omtata and Jimmy Wanjigi is just a spectacular waste of time. So because we have detected the insincerity of these useless bastards, they have no intention of even meeting any of our requirements because they have not done anything so far. They are talking about reshuffling, and we are saying all these CSs, PSs, heads of department, all of them need to go because they are not ready to undertake such a purge. Then you structure your mind into a reality, a future, whether it will be 2027 and beyond, that we are overhauling the entire establishment. And when we are auditing, we are not just auditing the loans that Uhuru stole, because Uhuru must have stolen like 4 trillion shillings alone. We are not just auditing that. We are auditing where the problem started, and the problem started at the turn of the 80s to the 90s, where they grabbed our parastatals, which had employed our parents. Our industries, flagship industries, collapsed because of what? Tourism used to earn us foreign exchange. Coffee used to earn us foreign exchange. Pyrethrum, Sisal, everything, textile industry, nothing, everything was collapsed so that we can favor a bunch of useless bastards called importers. And those
Yes.
importers, sorry, Americs, give me 1 minute. Those
All right.
importers are the ones who are the authors. They are the orchestrators of our misfortune as Kenyans. And we must, because they have the power to influence policy, they have the power to influence laws. Your MPs go to the toilets, they are bribed with 10,000 shillings. Can you imagine a member of parliament being bribed with 10,000 shillings? He's on a payroll of 1 million. He has fuel allowance, he has everything, and he's being paid 10,000 shillings in the toilets of parliament to change the laws that is going to affect you. Come on, I'm going crazy over here. Sorry, Americs. I apologize if I went overboard. I'm sorry.
It's a citizen assembly, so you are allowed to say whatever you want to say. Our common goal is one, our spirit is one, that we must overhaul the establishment. We must drain the swamp, because the swamp has been infested by crocodiles, pests, snakes. If there are people we need to pray for, they are the Kenyan journalists. The other day, I was reading an article that journalists at Standard have not been paid for 8 months. It is really, really heartbreaking. You can imagine a journalist is supposed to wear very good clothes. He or she must wear a very friendly face so that they can come on your screen and give you a story of a politician stealing money. And this journalist has nothing in the house, has not paid rent, doesn't know how they will go back. They have a car, yes, but they will park that car at their company parking lot. Then they will pick a matatu, go to the house. The other day, a journalist committed suicide. And we kept on asking ourselves, how can a journalist commit suicide? They look like they are happy. They go everywhere. They fly abroad. But the people who are facing the brunt of this economic decline, they are the journalists. And if a journalist is not empowered economically, they will not tell the true story. We might bash them. We might say all that we have about journalists and what they write. But just take time and sit with one. You'll cry. 8 months without a salary. And you expect that journalist to come in the morning, sit in a radio station, and tell the stories of the country. That is not possible. Our economy is declining. And as a people, if we don't stand up for our economy, we are done. Because it appears our president looks like a captive of other forces. That is not normal. The other day, UK did its election. They removed the World Economic Forum puppet and put there another puppet. They have jumped from a frying pan to the fire. Because this current puppet, the current prime minister, is the one who has been going around the world telling people about green energy and things like those. But goes to those meetings in a private jet. Ombachi, welcome.
Asante sana. First of all, thanks Gaido. Gaido, you know, watu wengi si ubash Gaido hapa hivi Twitter, but he was amongst the first guys na yesi wa kwanza. Hiyo movement tayari ilikuwa imeanzanga TikTok a while back, but Gaido ndo amongst the first people hii stuff ilianza kufesta upon them. But mimi sina mingi ya kusema. Mimi I usually judge events based on history and the probability of them repeating themselves again. Na kulingana na the recent events zimekuwa zikihappen ETL na hii historia ya Osama ya betrayal kulipwa. So sijui mbona we are entertaining people who've had a history of questionable characters, you know. Ndaongea straight to the point. Sijui kama Nyakundi naona uko hapo co-host. Nyakundi, wewe ni extortionist. Nakumbuka there was someone here hapa hivi kwanza ameongelea story ya footballers. Nikasema ikaniuma, nikakumbuka hata mimi there was a time mimi na William Baka we were fighting for the rights of players hapo Union ililipa Nyakundi akaanza kututrash. Nyakundi, wewe ni extortionist. Wewe tuna welcome your efforts kwa hii movement. People like you should be welcomed. Yes, but you should not be given any self importance. Wewe fanya kazi yako kwa sababu umeamua kufanya kazi yako because you are fighting because of what you believe. See it in the agenda, it's just facts. Maybe you mean well, but at this point you can't take chances. We already know from history what has happened na Osama. It will deflate movement. As much as ataki kuadmit, ilikuwa momentum kidogo, but the good thing about it is it told us there are Trojan horses, ama there will be more Trojan horses in future. Wenye saizi bado si Trojan horses. Kuna watu bado wakilipwa watadu the same thing. So why not? Watu wamekuwa wakilipwa kufanya vitu kama hizi before. Sisi tulikuwa nafuatia retro players, wewe ukalipwa. Ukaanza hiyo time hata hatuko Twitter. Tunaingia Twitter hivi unaingia mtu anafungulia Twitter na kuambia Nyakundi anasema hii nini. Hiyo tunajua tu ni Union ilikulipa. Na after stories zilisha down, God ili change Union, watu the same walikulipa na walituambia. So when sell out. Hata hii cost umepatiwa cost ya nini hapa hivi. This is what is wrong with our society. Tunajifanya tunafaitia what is right, but the same people who are fighting for what is purported to be right are not right. Nyakundi, wewe na Alai kaeni kando. Nyinyi mko group moja. Kama mnapigana for what is right because it's right, it's good, we welcome you. But we won't waste our time and resources watching you guys while you're on our safe side. Heri tujue nyinyi ni wabaya hata kama mnafanyia kitu mzuri. Tukipatana huko mbele tukisha achieve goals zetu, tutakaa chini to celebrate pamoja. Lakini as for now, there's the movement tuache kupatia people who've had a history of being turncoats an audience. Tafadhali, mimi hata sina ati advice mingi. Mimi sasa ni kuambiana tu ukweli hapa hivi. Moving forward, kama mtu amekuwa na issue ya integrity, na integrity ndo one of the things, corruption ndo ati tuko kwa street watu wanakufa tunaandamana. Wewe kazi yako ni kupatiwa pesa na politicians, unakanyagia stories zenye zingetusaidia mpaka hatungefika penye tuko hapa hivi. Alafu uko hapo unataka kujifanya tunafaitia watu. Sikuchuki by the way, mimi hata grudge, mimi siyekangi grudge. Mimi ni mtu mimi ucheka tu. Na inaisha. Cause najua ndakupata hapa mbele na nimekupata leo. So, stop the pretense. Hata jitoa tu co-host, wewe usikize kama watu wengine. Enda maandamano kule tiagas kama raia ya kawaida. Wacha kujifanya leader, you are not a leader, you are a sellout.
Mr. Mbachi, it's
Simsema ni ukweli tunataka kuambiana.
forum into this is a public forum, but
It's a public forum. Sijamaliza kuongea basi.
If you want to make personal attacks, we can.
It's not personal attack, it's history, it's facts. Unaweza dig kwa tweet zake uzipate. Mimi sijui.
But if you want to talk about, I think everyone here who has been on this platform over the years, they know that my history on this platform and any other platforms.
Kwani nani anaongea uni Ameru? Unajua Ameru sijai kuwa co-host hata na mwache kunitumia DM siju kuwapatia watu mic.
Everyone knows my history on this platform.
No, I'm listening. Mimi siongei. I'm just listening. It is a citizen assembly. I don't know how you want to sort it.
Sauti yako inakuanga hivi. Jua sisikia kwa space. Nimekuona tu kwa space nikasema hapana. Hawa ndo watu wanatumislead. Hawa ndo the new Osamas.
Yes.
You're a very...
It will happen before it will happen again. Na mimi nimewaambia.
All right. I'm listening. Go on, Nombachi. You need to finalize.
Oh yeah, sikuwa na mingi, nilikuwa nawaambia we should watch the thing, and the easiest way ni vile tulisema hiki kitu ni leaderless. tuache kujipatia self importance ati oh we are hosting a space with Amerix nini. Lakini the most valuable point nimesema, let us have people on our side. Let us judge them the way we want to judge the politicians that we are saying we want to kick them out. The way we are judging Sudi, the way we are judging Murkomen, the way we are judging anyone, other the way guys, people have already judged Sifuna today based on a history that's 30 minutes old. Kama ni hivyo, democracy cuts both ways. Tukue honest with each other. Me, I'm a truthful, honest man. Tukue honest with each other. Me, I'm not a good person or the best person or whatever. But the thing is, I know I'm honest. Chenye itakuja kwa mdomo, nitasema akili kiprocess. Kama ilikuwa mbaya ndakuambia pole baadaye. Na tutaelewana, maisha itaendelea. So those are facts. Mi chenye nasema, Nyakundi, we ni sell out, unatuenjoy. Wewe ukilipwa saizi, wewe utatugeuka. Mwache kudanganya. Ni kama Alai ujue kuna space. Sijui kama kuna mtu alikuwa kwa hiyo space. Nilianza kuongea hivi, nikaanza kuongea, nikaanza sasa kuchachisha watu, wakaanza kuchachisha. Kumbe jamaa alininyongea space, nimechangamka, nimeongelesha mosquito 30 minutes. Ndo nashangaa. Na hii hata nikiangalia TL hata sioni nini inaendelea hapa hivi. Kumbe jamaa alishaninyongea. Alafu kesho yake ndo unakuja kuona jamaa na tweet vitu zingine hot and cold. Ndo nikaangalia hivi nikasema, huyu jamaa ni sell out. Hata nikaanza kujiuliza sana nini mbaya. Mpaka watu hata I don't agree with them. Mtu kama Asamo. Ndo nikauliza Asamo bana, huyu jamaa wenu kwani anakuangaje hivi? Because mimi mimi sikuwa najua history yake. Nyakundi mimi nilijua kwa sababu yeye alilipwa atanishi jina yetu. Kuna hizi hata ukiingia kwa tweet zake utapata kama hajadelete. So mimi sina mengi ya kusema, ni kupoint out makosa. Mimi niko kama mtu mwingine kwa hii movement. Natokea kwa street to do my part, lakini nikiona makosa yote mahali, whether uko juu ama uko chini, enye niko in a position ya point out, I will point it out. Ndio isikuje bite uko mbele, alafu nianze kusema by the way nilikuwa najua hii story ati watu wanakuja wanaanza kusema huyo tulikuwa tunajua ni sell out. Mbona huku tuambia? Wewe basi pia wewe even you are a sell out. So mimi sina mengi ya kusema, ni hayo tu. Na I think ni hiyo tu nimesema. Ukiniweka hapa hivi utapata zingine.
Asante sana Deno. Nashukuru sana. Thank you for joining. Are you still in China?
Niko China mazee, na hapa ni 3:30 na bado silali. Hii space hii ni hadi kesho.
Asante sana. Now let me go to Willis.
In fact hata niongeze vile niko hapa, history ya my youth imeniudhi. As in, ukiona the way the youth are supported here by Gava, as in Gava inafanya everything. I will tell you for free, for a fact, as in hii job ya influencer nafanya, I've been more than blessed enough. Nimemanage kutoka hiyo cocoon ya local kufanya, of which bado nafanya, but I've been able to work with lots of embassies na governments, Turkey, Italy, nini Thailand. Kitu kama kupush tu chakula, kitu kama pad thai, the reason why is the most exported food in the world. The reason why Thai restaurants are the most the exported restaurants in the world, I think over 30,000 in the world, it's because of the government ili push it. Government ilikuwa inapatia hadi incentives. Hapa China unakuja hapa hivi, wameunda tu mpaka cities tu ziko empty za kama unataka kushoot movie, wewe unaenda unachukua license au lipi, unaenda unachapa wera yako, unarudi. As in Gava inadu vitu mingi sana. Hata kuna vitu zingine za upuzi kwanza nimeona mpaka inaniuliza swali mpaka sasa nashangaa sasa mbona unajua nimeenda public, nimekaa fala sana. Nimeuliza jamaa hapo hivi kwa town sasa tuko hapa Sichuan Chengdu. Akaniambia public toilet tuko huko hivyo. Sasa mimi niko na card. Nikamuuliza sina do ya kulipa, naweza swipe na vile visa hapa inasumbua kwa duka zingine. Mimi nashangaa watu wanacheka nini? Kumbe hata public toilet ni bure. Nashangaa kwani sisi tunabebwa ufala aje? Anyway, hata ni maji.
All right, asante sana. Thank you very much Deno, nimeshukuru sana. Let me invite Willis. Willis.
Thank you very much, Americ.
Karibu sana.
Willis Otieno here.
Yes.
Piki Ponki.
Karibu.
The first thing I want to point out is that it's good that you start this. We continue this conversation because what you are doing is you are now giving citizens a platform where they are going to be discussing their issues beyond the political class. And the challenge we have in this country is that our politicians have always thought that they are actually lords over us. They are not. They are actually our workers. When you talk about the money that they spend, the lagis that you see them flashing around, that is money that's collected from the border guys, collected from you when you go and buy sweets, you go and buy anything you buy. It is your money that is collected to a common pool, and then they don't use it to your benefit. And it is important that we note that when we breached parliament last week, the Kenyan people took sovereignty into their hands. What the political establishment is trying to do is to take it away, to take it back from you. And they are going to do everything possible to try to get that power back from you. It is our responsibility not to hand it over back to them until the day we'll go to a ballot and we elect a group that we believe will recognize that the people are superior even to the constitution. Right now, the president thinks that he is the most superior being in this country. He is not. He is merely a servant of the people of Kenya. William Ruto will come and go. In fact, the question we should be having at this point in terms of William Ruto, is he going before 2027 or is going in 2027? Going, he will go. That we've passed. What we must engender in our governance is that going forward, you must understand what we call the People's Charter. And that People's Charter, I normally summarize it to be one thing. It is about the welfare of the people and giving human beings, the people of Kenya, dignity in whatever you are doing. So anything that anybody does that does not give dignity to the individual, you must take it away. I've had the conversation about some within the space who will betray the movement. Whenever I talk to the politicians who are in the 1980s and the 90s struggle, they will tell you that they were betrayed by the most unlikely quarters, people whom they didn't even expect to betray them. Allow me just to give an example, for example, of Raila Odinga, who once mentioned one of the people who, when he sent an emissary to pass a message that he was in detention, that emissary, when he reached to a close relative, the close relative told the emissary, never come back to me with a message from Raila Odinga. And that is his close relative. He disowned him because he feared for himself. There are others who also decided to sell their fellow detainees just because you are offered 10,000 Kenya shillings, 100,000 Kenya shillings. So we will expect also in this particular quest, there are so many people in this space who will sell the movement for personal gain. But I assure you, what we are going through, there is nobody in Kenya who has ever gone through this process. In the sense that it is now the people of Kenya in their collective without a leader who are determining their future. And that future is premised on going forward. Our governance will be about us, not about the people we put in office. And anybody at that office, anybody who's going to be paid to betray this cause, I'm not cursing you, but I am promising you, you shall fail. And we will be here to witness the collapse of that enterprise. The third thing I want to point out, I've heard what Denoa said about Cyprian. I will not want that we spend too much time discussing personalities, but at least Denoa said he just want to put it out there so that we also do our own self-introspection. You may have heard at some point in the past, but nothing stops you from picking up the piece and saying, for the common good, for the better of the entire movement and the people of Kenya. Because when Kenya is great, it's great for all of us. You are now going to have leave that past and focus on this movement that is going to achieve a unity and a new country that makes sense to all Kenyans. Kenya must now make sense to all of us. We've been living in a country where Kenya only makes sense to those who are holding public office. In fact, if you ask me, if you look at the salaries that public servants earn vis-a-vis what private sector offers, you ask yourself why somebody, for example, will leave his legal practice to go and earn a salary of 300,000 Kenya shillings. But then 6 months into office, this man is walking around with 10 million Kenya shillings watches. This man is negotiating in advance to buy land worth of 100 million Kenya shillings and saying, I will pay you. Even if he was to take a loan, if he was to appear in any bank with his payslip, no bank will give him that loan. It simply means that he knows leaving private practice to go into government service is now an opportunity for him to accumulate for himself. And we must reject that. And that is what we are rejecting on the streets. Let's go to tactic. You witnessed today